A recycled certified barcode can ruin your paycheck faster than a bad boss. This happened in St. Louis, Missouri, during a January ice storm. Salted roads, black slush, and one court file that looked airtight. Until the tracking number told a different story. Her family said she was irresponsible. The paperwork said she was served. And the only reason that lie collapsed was because the certified number on the lawsuit had already been delivered months earlier to someone else. My name's Frank Hale. I work while the city sleeps. No rumors, just records. Receipts, barcodes, signatures, timestamps. I don't guess, I verify. Most people think the mail is just mail. Bills, coupons, birthday cards that show up late. But some envelopes aren't communication, they're leverage. And when the sender pays for certified, they're not trying to be heard, they're trying to be believed. I was on the sorting floor at 4:41 a.m., running my handheld across a stack of certified pieces. Scan, beep, scan, beep. Same rhythm I've had for 25 years. Then I got a different beep, not the friendly one. The handheld flashed a warning that almost never shows up on clean mail. Tracking already used. I stared at it for half a second longer than I should have, because a certified number isn't supposed to live 2 lives. I turned the envelope over. Plain window, court return address. Neat block letters. Addressee, Elise Carter. Apartment address, South City. And the barcode on the green label? My device insisted it had been delivered 7 months ago, in a different zip. That's when my shift got quiet inside my head. Paperwork doesn't just record a story. Sometimes it creates one. And when the barcode is wrong, the story can turn into a weapon. You learn quickly in my line of work. The public thinks delivered means someone got it. The system thinks delivered means the record is complete. And courts don't chase vibes. They chase records. Courts. If a certified number says delivered, a clerk will treat it like a fact, even when it's a fact from the wrong timeline. I flagged the piece in my own notes: time, tray number, scan status, my initials. Not drama, not accusation, just documentation. Then I did what the route always demands. I moved the mail. I didn't meet Elise that morning, not yet, but I learned her life in the way you learn anyone's life through paper. Slowly, in fragments, with the truth hiding in the corners. Elise was 35, a public school art teacher. Not the kind that gets movie speeches, the kind that buys her own supplies and stays late because the kids need a safe room more than they need paint. And to her family, Elise was the soft one, the mess, the dreamer who can't keep anything together. That winter, her family had a little tradition: Sunday dinner at her older brother's house. Her brother, Darren, ran a contracting business, talked loud, laughed louder, and treated money like it proved character. Elise showed up with a thrift store pie and a calm smile, and still got hit with the same jokes. "Art teacher," Darren would say, like it was a punchline. "Must be nice working part-time." She wasn't part-time. She was exhausted. Her mother would do that thing some mothers do. Helpful voice, sharp meaning. "You still renting? You ever think about stability?" And the worst part? Everyone laughed like it was love. At one dinner, Darren raised his glass and said, "Here's to Elise, still figuring it out." Elise smiled. because she was practiced. Inside, she made a private decision. No arguing, no proving, no begging to be respected. Silence. Monday morning, 7:18 a.m., she got an email from payroll. Subject line, wage garnishment order, immediate compliance. If you've never had your stomach drop through a floor, that's what it feels like. Elise read the attachment twice because her brain refused the first version. Court letterhead, a case number, a judgment amount, and a line that matters more than people understand. Defendant failed to appear. Judgment entered by default. Default is paperwork's favorite knife. It doesn't prove you're guilty. It proves you didn't show up to defend yourself. Elise called the payroll office. They told her it was real. They had to comply. They were sorry. Then she called the courthouse, and the clerk, tired voice, no cruelty, pulled the case. Plaintiff, Darren Carter, her brother. Cause, repayment of personal loan / breach of agreement. Elise didn't even sit down. There's a mistake, she said. I never borrowed money from my brother. The clerk didn't argue. Clerks don't. Clerks point. It says you were served by certified mail, the clerk said. Notice of hearing, summons, all filed. Elise felt her face go cold. I never got anything. The clerk read her the tracking number off the file, and that's the number that already had a life before Elise's case ever existed. Elise didn't confront Darren, not yet, because she remembered a pattern she'd lived with her whole life. When Darren is wrong, he gets loud. When Darren is cornered, he gets mean. And when Darren is threatened, he rewrites the story so fast you start doubting your own memory. So she stayed silent, again. She pulled out old files, bank records, texts. She searched her email for anything that looked like loan. Nothing. Then she remembered something small that suddenly mattered. 7 months earlier, Darren asked her to help him with paperwork. Just sign a delivery receipt at their mother's house because he's never home. Elise had been in the kitchen, pen in hand. Darren said, just sign, it's fine. It wasn't certified, he said, just a package. She hadn't thought about it since. Now she did. Because people who treat signatures casually usually do it because they've learned how useful signatures can be. Elise asked the clerk for copies of the filings. The file had a typed loan agreement, a signature that looked like hers, had a typed and a certified proof of service printout attached. The record said the notice was delivered and signed. That record was clean. Too clean. That same afternoon, I was on my route, and my supervisor waved me over like it mattered. It did. You flagged a certified piece this morning, he said. Same tracking number as an older delivery. I nodded. My handheld said it was already used. He handed me a photocopy of something printed from a court file Elise had brought in. A certified tracking number, the same one. I didn't feel heroic. I felt annoyed. Not at Elise, not at the court. At the idea that a barcode could be used as a costume. Because the system is built on one assumption: numbers don't lie. I looked up the scan history we're allowed to access internally, status events, dates, locations, and there it was. That certified number had been delivered 7 months ago, signed, closed out, done. The address history on the tracking events didn't match Elise's apartment. It belonged to a different neighborhood, different day, different route, different story. That's when I said my favorite sentence. I don't guess, I verify. I printed the scan history that showed the original delivery date and zip, and I made a second printout showing the new envelope in our system with the same number, today's processing scan. 2 timelines, 1 barcode. That's not an accident you ignore. That's an anomaly you document. Elise met me outside the main post office at 6:12 p.m. Ice crust on the sidewalk, wind that felt personal. She was holding a folder so tight her knuckles were pale. "Thank you," she said first, because polite people apologize even when they've been robbed. I kept my voice flat. "Tell me what the court file says," I told her. She laid it out like she'd rehearsed. Darren filed a claim saying Elise borrowed $9,800 for emergency rent. He attached a typed agreement. He attached a certified notice showing she was served. She never appeared, so default judgment entered, served. Now her wages were being garnished. "Darren never gave me money," she said, "and I never got served." I didn't comment on her brother. I commented on the record. "The certified number in that file," I said, "is a recycled number. The delivery history attached to your case belongs to another delivery." Elise stared at me like that sentence was both relief and horror. "So, they used a real record," she said. "Yeah," I said, "just not your record." Fraud doesn't always invent paperwork. Sometimes it steals paperwork that already exists. Elise swallowed. "My family's going to say this is my fault," she said quietly. "They always do." I didn't soften my voice. I sharpened it. "Courts don't care who blames who," I said. "They care what the file proves." Before the official place, there's always the grind. Elise didn't go home and scream into a pillow. She went home and built a record. She called payroll and asked for the exact start date of the garnishment. She got it in writing. She requested certified copies of the case file. She paid the fee. She pulled her own bank statements from the month Darren claimed he loaned her money. No deposit, no transfer, nothing. She printed text messages from that time period, Darren bragging about a new truck, Darren asking her to sign for a package, Darren joking, "You're good at paperwork, must be all that art teacher precision." Not proof by itself, but context. Then she did the part people don't romanticize. She kept going to work. Because rent doesn't pause for betrayal. She took on weekend shifts teaching community classes. She sold old furniture online. She tracked every expense like she was building evidence against her own life. And she didn't say a word to Darren. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's strategy. Elise filed a motion to set aside the default, not a speech, a document, and she attached what mattered. Payroll garnishment notice, bank statements showing no loan. The USPS scan history showing the certified number was delivered months earlier elsewhere. My signed statement as the postal employee who flagged the duplicate tracking event in our system. Official place, St. Louis Civil Courthouse, Division 14. We were there at 8:27 a.m. Darren arrived at 8:41, suit too sharp, smile too calm. He didn't look guilty. He looked confident. That's the thing about people who weaponize paperwork. They don't feel like criminals. They feel like winners. The judge, a woman in her 50s with reading glasses low on her nose, started by reading. No small talk. That's always a good sign. Elise spoke first. "Your Honor," she said, steady. I was never served. The certified record in this file is not mine. Darren's attorney stood and said the line that always sounds unbeatable. Service was completed by certified mail, delivered, signed, proof attached. The judge looked up. Ms. Carter, she said to Elise, you're claiming the certified record is incorrect. Yes, Elise said. And I have a USPS record showing the tracking number attached to this case was already delivered months earlier. The judge turned her eyes to Darren. Mr. Carter, she said, do you know where this certified number came from? Darren's smile tightened. My attorney handled the paperwork, he said. People who tell the truth don't outsource memory. The judge didn't argue. She just asked for the exhibit. The clerk handed up Elise's packet. The judge stared at the USPS printout. Then the judge said, this tracking history shows a delivery event dated July 18th. This lawsuit was filed in December. Darren's attorney started to speak. The judge held up a hand. No, she said. Answer the mismatch. The attorney tried. Something about clerical error. Maybe a digit was typed wrong. Maybe the USPS system. The judge cut it off clean. Then why is there a complete delivery history attached to the wrong number? She asked. History. And why was that history used as proof of service? Silence landed. The judge turned to Darren again. Mr. Carter, she said, did you serve your sister at her residence address? Darren looked at Elise like he wanted her to flinch. Elise didn't. Then Darren said it, because people like Darren always do. She's irresponsible, Your Honor. She ignores mail. She ignores everything. This is what she does. The judge didn't react to his feelings. She reacted to the record. Mr. Carter, she said, your opinion of your sister is not evidence. Then she looked down and spoke the sentence that changes a life. I'm setting aside the default judgment. Darren blinked. The judge continued. I'm issuing an order to pause garnishment immediately. And I'm referring the service irregularity for further review. Outside the courtroom, Darren tried to speak like nothing happened. Elise, come on, he said. You're really doing this? Elise looked at him once. Not angry, not pleading, precise. You did this, she said. And that was it. No speech, no fight. Just a boundary spoken like a fact. That afternoon, payroll got the order. Garnishment stopped. A week later, Elise received a court-stamped notice confirming the judgment was vacated pending proper service and evidence review. A stamp doesn't heal betrayal, but it stops theft. Elise didn't get back at Darren in some cinematic way. She did something quieter. She changed her mailing security settings. She froze her credit. She moved her important mail to a locked box, and she stopped attending Sunday dinners. Her mother called it dramatic. Elise didn't argue. She just said, I'm not available. Because boundaries don't need applause. They need consistency. I went back to my route the next morning. Same slush, same wind, same dull sky. But I kept thinking about that barcode. A number that wasn't fake. A record that wasn't invented, just repurposed. Fraud doesn't always look like a mask. Repurposed. Sometimes it looks like a legitimate printout stapled to the wrong case. No rumors, just records. So here's my question for you. If your own family used clean paperwork to take your money, Would you confront them first, or would you go quiet, build a file, and let the record speak? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories where proof wins and noise loses, subscribe.